This episode of the Italian Wine Podcast is brought to you by the new book, Sangiovese, Lambrusco, and Other Vine Stories. Researchers Attilio Scienza and Serena Imazio explore the origin and ancestry of European grape varieties in a tale of migration, conquest, exploration, and cross-cultural exchange. Hardback available on Amazon in Europe, Kindle version available worldwide. Find out more at ItalianWineBook.com.
Italian Wine Podcast. Chin Chin with Italian wine people.
Hello, this is the Italian Wine Podcast with me, Monty Waldin. My guest today
is Annette Scarfe, Master of Wine. Sorry,
it's right in there. When did you become an MW then?
In 2012. It was a bit of a career change for me, actually. I used to be in banking. That's what took me to Singapore 23 years ago. And then I'd always had a love of wine. When I lived in the UK before, I'd worked with a lot of people running sort of very low-key consumer tastings. I set up a very small distribution company, but kind of always felt that I had to keep working in the big corporate world to earn the money, and then I was always going to retire into something that I really loved, and that's what I've done.
Right, when you say retirement, it's not like you're 450 years old, though, is it?
No,
we're not going to ask you.
No, I'm not 450
you're late
years old.
30s, so you've crammed a lot in. So.
I've crammed a lot in. Thank you very much, Monty. So yes, that's right. So I've lived in Singapore, nearly all my life, obviously, 23 years there. So no, I've certainly not retired, and I've got no intentions of retiring, but I have retired from that corporate life, sort of chasing around pieces of paper and.
So when you say the corporate life, what actually specifically were you doing?
I was a chief financial officer of a major international bank, and then I ran the small business unit of the bank as well. So
from Goliath to David.
So something like that. But really, I always wanted to follow my love of wine, and that's what I did. Did
that come from the classic boozy lunches with the boys, a glass of wine after work, you had a good day, you're going to, rather than having the Piat d'Or, you're going to splash out on a Brunello or something like that? Was it like that, or was it?
No, it wasn't like that at all.
You don't seem like a hellraiser.
No, it came from the very first day of university. I'd been quite privileged as a child to be able to enjoy a glass of wine with somebody.
So you were breastfed with what? Was it red or white?
Red or white, yeah.
Okay,
well, usually white, actually. But when I first went to university, then I was thinking, I went to this thing called the Union Bar on my very first day.
That's the students,
That was the students' bar in Reading University, and drunk a glass of what was supposedly wine, and it's still to this day the most unlikely sort of thing that I could ever associate with wine. And I thought, oh my goodness, how can I ever be here for 3 years if that's all there is to offer?
Was it really bad then?
It was really bad. It was very bad. You don't
remember what it was?
I do. It was a Bulgarian Cabernet. Nothing wrong with Bulgarian Cabernet. They're actually very good, so I've got to be careful about that. But it was an oxidised one that had probably been open for about 2 weeks in the bottom of the bar, kept at 25 degrees. So very rancio. And
so that was that. So from the student union, you discovered wine.
So then I decided that weekends, instead of writing essays on economics and accounting, it would be much more interesting to jump in my car and go over to Champagne and buy grower champagnes, or go to the Loire and fill up big plastic boxes with wine and then bring it back to my university halls for bottling.
Really? Is that what you did?
Yes.
So you needed to know a little bit about microbiology then. You don't just put any old cork in there and hope it doesn't start re-fermenting.
Well, you could buy those Boots bottling kits in the days.
Boots is like a high street chemist where you could, winemaking.
You can buy winemaking kits. And so that really started my love of wine. And then... Did
you actually buy one of those winemaking kits and make wine?
Yeah, not make wine, but I'd bottled wine that I'd bought.
Oh, okay, because I got those kits and I actually made wine.
Yeah.
And that's where it started for me.
Oh,
Boots,
really?
Yeah. So we got Boots and Boots is this high street. It's
Boots
like
is
a
very
chemist.
thing, yeah.
Okay. So, and then next step?
Next step was really just the corporate world for a number of years, where I was, travelling around. I moved to Singapore. I was responsible for 9 countries, travelled around Asia. But I just knew that I really just wanted to get back into this love of wine. So all my holidays were spent going to wine regions. Really all of my spare time was spent reading about wine, doing things about wine. So then I decided it was a fortunate time for me. I had the opportunity, well, a fortunate time in many senses. The bank wanted me after the financial crisis to move to South Africa, and I took the opportunity then to basically say I would rather leave and do my own thing.
That was it then?
That was it. And so
no regrets.
The rest is history. So I never dreamt of being a master of wine.
You'd heard of what they were though, I guess.
I don't think I even really had, actually. I just knew that in Singapore we live in a place where pieces of paper are really important. I mean, if you've got a basket weaving certificate, you have to show a piece of paper for it. And so I knew that if I was going to do anything in the world of wine, I'd have to get some form of qualification. So I started on WSET, level 3, and then did my diploma. And then I met these creatures called the Masters of Wine. And I thought, who are they? And, they seem like normal people, as we are. And I
They're
thought,
very deceptive, those MWs.
I thought, I want to be one of those. And so my friends thought I was crazy because I was meant to be leaving that sort of very demanding banking world to do something that was a bit more pleasurable. And I was going to embark on one of the most difficult wine qualifications in the world. And so that's what I did.
Did you pass it first time, everything?
No, I didn't pass it first time. The tasting was fine. I struggled with my theory, actually. But I did get through it. But I passed my dissertation first time and won the prize for that.
Which was on?
Ribera del Duero. So it's a Spanish wine region. Everybody knows Rioja. It's very close to Rioja, the same grape, but less well known. Well known by some people, like Vega Sicilia is known, but people don't always link Vega Sicilia to Ribera del Duero, but that's where they are.
We'll get right back to the Italian Wine Podcast after a quick reminder that this episode is made possible by the book Sangiovese, Lambrusco, and Other Vine Stories, available on Amazon in Europe and Kindle worldwide.
So how's your knowledge of Italian wine?
My knowledge of Italian wine is I'd like to say pretty good. I love Italian wines.
Favourite regions?
I work all over, actually. I like everything from...
You're Italian then? You're not going to you're not going to narrow down, favour one region?
I'm not going to favour down one region because I work a lot with Italian wines, actually. I work with an importer in Singapore who's a specialist in Italian wines.
We're talking about fine wines, aren't we? Or
to be honest, not just fine wine, actually, just a lot of more everyday wines, so that can be drunk with the Chinese cuisine that we have in Singapore. So obviously the fine wines as well, but certainly not just all of the fine wines, not just all of the Barolos, Super Tuscans, etc. It's a lot of everyday drinking wines as well.
Go on, chuck some names at me, like Verdicchio or...
Yeah, so Verdicchio, Sicilia wines definitely are becoming quite popular in Singapore. Etna Rosso, because the wines, they're quite versatile. They're fruity, which is what the Asian palate likes, but they've got a really nice sense of structure. They go well with our food in there. We drink a lot more reds in Singapore than we do white, which is kind of crazy.
It is. It's quite. I've never been there, but hot and humid.
It's very hot and humid. In wine terms, our diurnal temperature is about 5 degrees all year round. So we go from 35 in the day to 30 at night. Maybe on a cold January, we might drop down to 26, 27, and then there's a government warning because it's so cold. So which is quite hilarious, really.
Then you get the Aliatico out, yeah.
You've come from the UK like I have, but people do like a lot of red wines more. Prosecco was a late starter in Singapore, and that's taken off quite well now. I mean, year-on-year growth, that's shown a 30% growth over the last year, so it's really becoming quite a big category there. And
is that when you're saying about the climate's hot, so obviously nothing better than having a nice, cool Prosecco? Is that?
Well, there's a big brunch culture in Singapore,
Really?
which has always been dominated by the champagne houses. And I think the younger drinkers who are not willing to pay quite as much for their beverages are really starting to like the prosecco side and the enjoying that with a Sunday brunch. It's quite typical for a group of friends to go out, and we can't really advertise them as such in the UK, but in Singapore they still advertise the bottomless brunches, and you pay a fixed amount and the glass just never gets empty.
So the bottomless brunch, I mean, what is the food on the table to go with that particular wine?
Absolutely everything, from showcasing all of our cuisines from sort of Chinese, Japanese, Thai, to much more Western food on there. Some specialise in Italian food. There would usually be 12, 13 food counters there, each showing 5 or 6 or 7 different regions from Asia and different Western foods as well. So lots of seafood as well. So they're very good. You should go to Singapore and try one.
Yeah, well, you just describing all that food. I mean, you're a very slender lady. I don't know how you do it, but either your metabolism is like a Ferrari, but you don't seem to have suffered the classic wine trade.
No, I try not to. So, I mean, I think I'm a big lover of outdoors, which is why I love Singapore so much, because it's so easy from my front door. I can cycle for 50 kilometres without seeing a car. I have a swimming pool in the complex. Is
it flat?
In the complex, yes, it's very flat. That's why
50 kilometres?
That's why I can cycle.
50 kilometres?
Is
that just like a little jaunt for you? Like
no, it's not a
nipping
little...
out for the newspaper or
it's
something? It's
not a little jaunt, but it's something I would always like to cycle a bit at the weekends. And, obviously not every day, I don't have time, but just to keep yourself fit. It's important.
You're very driven though, aren't you? I mean, you're very unassuming, but everything that you seem to do, you don't do it 50%, you do it 110%. Study and
I do
work,
it 110%. So.
Are you quite demanding to work with? You seem very docile and friendly, and I don't just kind of thinking if I ask the wrong question, you say, Monty, that's such a silly question. Yeah.
I would.
Didn't you do your research, boy?
No, I would never do that, and particularly not if it was anything to do with wine, because I do a little bit of wine education in Singapore, and I always tell everyone, quite honestly, there is no such thing as a silly question, because I just want to share my love of wine, and the best way to learn is to ask.
Yeah, my dad was, you said, the cleverest kid in the class is the one that asked the really dumb question.
That's right.
Not having any fear.
That's probably very true.
So your next trip in Italy, where's that going to be? I'm going to give you an unlimited budget.
Yeah.
You can go wherever you want, and you can choose 2 regions. So 2 regions, and why would you choose those 2 regions? It could be like a micro-region like Brunello, or it could be a big region like Piemonte or whatever.
Okay, well, one I would definitely go to is Sicily, because believe it or not, I've never actually been to Sicily. I drink the wines, I taste about it, I've seen the pictures, but I've never actually been there. So Sicily would be somewhere that I really, really want to go to. And the other place, funnily enough, very unassuming places, but I'd love to go to Umbria, because I have a friend who's now just starting from banking days, who started making wine there, and I would love to go and help them and see what they're doing and see what we can really make of this region.
What are they making? They're making Sagrantino or?
No, they're just making, I mean, to be honest, they're just doing some whites with Grosseto in, and some reds with a little bit of international varieties, a few local varieties, but that's why I'd like to go and visit and see what can be done there. So. Let's
go back to the MW thing. If I'm an MW student, one of your new pool of, you've got a sort of mentor.
Yep.
What is the biggest fear that they've got, and what is the biggest mistake that they sort of make coming into it, the program?
I think the biggest mistake they make coming into it is to not recognise how much it's going to take over your life, and not realise how much support you need for friends and family. It really is almost impossible to pass it if you don't have the support of your friends and family. So it's, that is really, really critical. So they because the MW itself is a kind of an exam where the people that embark on such a qualification, knowing that the pass rate is so low, they're all driven people. And for the majority of us, myself included, we have never failed a single exam in our life before when we venture on it. And I mean, I remember when I failed my theory, telling my friends that, no, I hadn't passed it. And everyone asking me, was I ill? Didn't I read the question? Did I turn up to the exam? What happened? There was just this complete disbelief that I could fail anything, and it's so real, and nearly everybody does fail something at some stage on their journey. So that's the biggest thing, I think, to accept when you come into the programme, that there could be failure, there's likely to be failure somewhere along the way, but perseverance is the most important thing.
It makes you a better mentor as well.
And it makes you, it does make you a better mentor. But I would say even the people who've sadly never passed MW but have been on the programme for a little while would agree that it's the most worthwhile thing they've ever done, in terms of the group of people you meet, the experience, the whole thing. So
you're mentoring. You've got students at the moment that you're mentoring, I guess.
I have got some students there that I'm mentoring. So, and I always have had, and I really enjoy that, and giving them tasting practices and helping them. So it's important.
Cool, Anna. It's been really nice to meet you. It's very down to earth.
It's been very nice to meet you too.
And you're obviously incredibly driven. But what's nice is you're very rounded.
Well, thank you.
No, it's just nice. You just so really walk in smiling, you talk in, you're smiling, you're going to leave the door smiling. Wonderful. Absolutely. Wonderful to meet you.
Well, wonderful to meet you too.
Seen your name so often.
Yeah.
And your students are very, very lucky to have you, and I'm sure you'll have great success with them.
Thank you very much.
Really nice to meet you.
Thanks, Monty.
Listen to all of our pods on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and on ItalianWinePodcast.com. Don't forget to send your tweets to @ItaWinePodcast.